We're crooked over here. Aye, aye, aye. Cannot. Okay. Hi. Back again. Another vid. Let's go with it. All right. I'm currently sick. So I thought it was the perfect time to talk about books that have plagues or viruses. Did you like that? There are a lot of books, especially recently, that have highlighted a plague or a virus that has changed everything. Well, it's just been involved in a very high way. And after everything that happened in 2020, let's pretend that didn't happen. It hits a little harder. So let's go through books that I have read that have plagues or viruses as their big, backdrop to what the world looks like now. First one is obviously Legend by Marie Lu. I gave this book 5 stars. Okay, here we go. I loved, capital letters, Legend. The only reason it even took so long to get through was because I was moving and super busy. Otherwise, I would have finished it in a day. Wow, I really liked this book. First, the premise. Loved it. Can't wait to continue unraveling the mysteries and the secrets in the next book. Second, the world. It was introduced to the reader in a seamless way. It felt natural, part of the story, no info dumps, and was just beautifully done. Third, the characters. I found not only the main characters, but the secondary ones as well so intriguing. I loved all of the interactions and development, the exploration of each character's stories, just all of it. The writing style flowed so well, and the story was filled with fascinating turns, dialogue, and world building. Overall, an amazing YA book, and I can't wait to read more. Yeah, it was a really, really good series. I really enjoyed this series a lot, actually. I have it here. Ta-da. I really quite like Marie Lu's writing style as well. Fantastic. Yeah, it was great. There was a big plague that was in the backdrop as well. So there you go. We're hitting the marks that we need to hit for this video. And blog post. If you want to know what these books are about, as always, go look them up. I have links to them in the blog post if you genuinely don't want to try and search them yourself. Next book, Airborne by Diane Mills. I gave this 4 stars. I enjoyed Diane's writing style. The plot had such a relevant feel for the times, and yet was a story all on its own. The characters were really good. There was a solid amount of Christian themes in this book without it being too overpowering. However, I did find some, capital letters, parts felt a little rushed. The mystery was engaging all the way till the end, and the resolution was fantastic. Overall, a great read. Okay, so I believe this book came out right in 2020. Like, so funny. The release of this big virus thing happened right, and this book got released right when the actual big pandemic happened. That was hilarious timing for me. And it was just so funny. It was a different scenario in this book, but I just thought that was hilarious. The timing for that, absolutely chef's kiss. Loved that so much. It was just so ironic. Loved it so much. All right, next book is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. 3 stars. I actually really liked this book. I liked the superpower element rather than magic, and the separation of red and silver is something we can relate to with various divisions we have in our own world. Classism and racism, all the divisionisms, you can relate, apparently. Oh, I did gloss over the world and surrounding descriptions, but the plot was good. Granted, it was similar to other YA dystopians, but if you know what you're getting into, I don't see the problem. I liked the characters, but admittedly looked up the spoilers before reading, so I didn't have any shock moments at the various twists and turns. I couldn't stand it, apparently. No graphic content, but pretty violent fights and scene descriptions. Not really any cuss words either. I get a little bit of a content warnings there. Next book, there are a few actually. A few left. Here we go. This one is called Forks, and it is by Nadine Brandes, and it's not forks as in eat with a fork or a dingle hopper. It is 2 stars, all right? It's a name. Historical fiction isn't my favorite genre, but the fantasy element had me interested. Unfortunately, it didn't grab my attention at all. I skimmed and skipped a lot of this book. I got the big plot points this way, but most of it was pretty meh for me. There was a lot of color power lore, and I had to try and get through. But honestly, it wasn't really all that interesting, and instead felt like it was a bit much, okay? I appreciated the historical plot brought to life with the fantasy additions, and I know how that would have taken a bunch of research and work. It was just not for me. So there were some historical elements in that were like legitimately real in history. But yeah, I'm not a huge historical fiction fan, and he threw in way too much lore for me to be interested. So it was I don't actually even know if I rated that, to be honest. All right, next book, Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. I gave that 4 stars. Now, I've talked about this one before, but we're going to do it anyway. I really enjoyed this. I liked the world that was created. The POV of David was great. His characters were funny, and his interactions were good. I like Brandon's writing. This was the first of Brandon's that I read, and I adore. I found myself wanting to know more about Steelheart and the world, and look forward to the other books to fill in some of the blanks. I really, really liked this series. In general, superpowers that came from this big, catastrophic event. So that was really, really fun. And only some of the people have powers. Also, the element for this book that I really was intrigued by is that the people who have the powers are the bad guys. I love that so much. It's like a flip of like, you have like Superman, he's a good guy and he's got powers, and then he comes across some people who have, bad guys who have powers too. But like the main characters, they're like the Justice League people, or like the Marvel Avengers. No, the only people who have the actual superpowers, bad guys. Loved that. It was such a cool twist. So there you go. The last book, all right, and there's some updates, okay? So at the time of writing this, all right, I had not finished reading this book. But I'm going to give you all an update because there's an update. Powerless by Lauren Roberts, alrighty? Stars, TBD. Lame. Okay, this one I am in the midst of reading, so no official review yet. However, I have read enough to see similarities with Red Queen and differences as well. Of all the books, because there's been a big discourse about that online, of all the books I've chosen for this post, this one references a plague the most, okay? They use it as a curse, as a frame of reference, and pretty much for anything and everything. It's a catch-all. To be fair, I would probably use it the same way if it had such a large effect on the world. I am excited to see where the story goes. Now, here's the update, okay? So, exclusive. This isn't in the blog post. This isn't in anywhere else. It's exclusive just to you guys. So, I DNF'd this book. I got just over halfway before I DNF'd. It is very violent. There is a large focus on torture. I also was not enjoying the overall tone of this book. The banter was bantering. It was really good. I have to... So many people talk about, the banter. Yeah, it's great. But the overall tone for this book was so dark, and I just could not get through it. I think that there are some really quotable lines. There are some really fun things in there. It just wasn't a book I could get behind. So, yeah, a DNF. But I did try and tandem read this with Powerful, and that was really fun. I would recommend doing that because that was really fun. I also DNF'd Powerful at the same time. There's just something about this series, it's icky for me. I can't. So I'm not going to read it. However, I will say, this book is definitely a combination between Red Queen and The Hunger Games. There's even some of the selection thrown in. You could probably also argue a little bit of Divergent. It is just an amalgamation of some really fun stories that have come out into this one compact series. And I liked it. Okay? It was different enough where I was like, okay, it's different, but also similar enough where I'm like, oh, I can see what you did there. I know what you did, okay? So I understand the discourse that we've had online. I'm also okay with it. So, yeah, no biggie. There you go. Those are the books that I have read recently that talk about plagues or viruses that are like a huge part of the, how people got, mysterious powers, or, the world that has changed. Or a terror attack or whatever. Yeah, so that was them. And, I'm sure there'll be more because why not? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the adventures.